Hello everybody, welcome back to Dragalia Lost. It looks like our second Gala unit has finally been released, and it's Ranzal. He has retained his wind element, but instead of wielding an axe, he now wields a sword. This makes Ranzal the second wind sword unit in the game so far, right after Kuhai. Kuhai is a 4-star unit, not a 5-star, therefore Ranzal is the first 5-star exclusive wind sword unit. These two swordies have really different skill sets. Kuhai is all about offense and crit damage, while Ranzal is still offensive, but he has some defensive tools in his kit, and I'll get more into that a little bit later. For now, let's briefly talk about his stats. 755 HP and 504 strength. His spread is right around where the other 5-star swordies are. Just compare his spread with Naveed, Xander, and Albert. It's only a single or a few point difference, so his stats are pretty solid. His skill 1, Cyclone Blade, has an SP cost of 2,661, which is decently low. When Cyclone Blade is activated, it deals 6 hits of wind damage to the target and to nearby enemies, so it's an AoE. It kind of reminds me of Maribel's S1. You can cast this skill from long range and it'll hit whatever target that your character is locked onto. Now, the interesting part of the skill is that the damage is increased when Experience's boon has full gauges. Experience boon is one of Ranzal's abilities, and it implements a new gauge system that is unique to Ranzal, which I'll talk more about once we get to his abilities. For now, all you need to know is that when using Ranzal, there's 2 gauges on the top left of the screen. The one on the left is the attack gauge, and the one on the right is the burst gauge. The attack gauge fills up when Ranzal deals damage with regular attacks, while the burst gauge fills from damage dealt by force strikes. When one of these gauges are full, Cyclone Blade will consume that filled gauge and deal 20% extra damage. Additionally, if both gauges are 100% filled up, then Cyclone Blade will deal 80% extra damage. So yeah, Ranzal's S1 isn't anything too special unless you fulfill the gauge condition, and if you do, then it's a really powerful skill. It's a good thing that the gauge condition isn't that difficult to meet. All you need to do is attack like normally and force strike often, which isn't a hard task to do for a sword character. They can easily incorporate force strikes in between any of its combo strings. Moving on to skill 2, he's got Wind Tactics. It's 5,800 SP, which sounds about right for a buffing skill that has multiple effects. When activated, Ranzal's next 3 force strikes will become long range attacks. This is pretty cool. It seems like a skill made for Mercury, and probably High Mercury as well. Mercury has that signature move for hers that deals damage in a huge radius around her. I forgot what it's called, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm referring to. When she starts doing that move, obviously a melee unit like Ranzal can't deal damage during that moment, but with Wind Tactics, he's got an option to hit her from long range. In addition to this effect, it also increases the entire team's defense by 10% for 10 seconds. 10% for 10 seconds is pretty average, I would say. Support characters like Aileen can buff defense for 20% for 15 seconds. However, considering that Ranzal is an attack character and is meant to be played offensively, having a team defense buff in one of his skills is icing on the cake. Also, the defense buff is nice to have for players that might tend to tunnel in too hard on trying to fill his gauges, which may cause them to get hit a lot. Alright, so now let's take a look at his abilities. I've already touched on Experience's boon slightly earlier, so I won't repeat anything that I said before. The part that I did not mention is the effect that says user's defense is increased by 8% for one completely filled gauge and 15% if both gauges are filled. Apparently, this defense buff is a passive buff, therefore it should stack with the 10% defense buff from his skill 2, so Ranzal is able to get 25% increased damage from his own skill set alone. Do know that he only gains the passive defense buff if the gauges are filled, so that means you have to decide for yourself. Should you consume the gauges for increased Cyclone Blade damage, or should you save them to protect yourself and reduce incoming damage? This decision might be relevant for High Mercury. For example, if she has a Searing Pillar type move like all the other High Dragons do, where the team has to stack in order to split the damage across everybody. If High Mercury has that move, then Ranzal players maybe should make sure to keep their gauges filled whenever she does the pillar attack. Utilizing Ranzal's skill 2 for that 10% defense team buff could also help as well. That's a 10% damage reduction across the board and 25% reduction for himself. That's quite a lot of damage being mitigated. Second ability is Relentless Spirit. This gives him 100% freeze and bog resistance. It pretty much means he's great for all the water content in the game currently and probably in the near future as well. Third ability is skill damage 30%. Him and Halloween Elisan are the only 2 characters with 30% skill damage, I believe. Skill damage is always great as long as the unit has damage skills, obviously. I do want to briefly mention that his 5-star Windsword does not have a damage skill attached to it, so that kind of sucks. The 4-star one doesn't either, but the 3-star one does, so skill damage is great for that specific sword. However, it has significantly less strength compared to the 5-star sword. So overall, Ranzal is a fantastic win character, as he should be considering that he's a Gala unit. Whether or not you should pull for him depends if you need a win character for the upcoming High Mercury trials. Ranzal's kit seems like he's just made to be used for High Mercury. He's a melee unit with all these long range skills and a bunch of defense buffs. If you need someone reliable for High Mercury, then go for Ranzal, but do keep in mind that he's pretty difficult to summon. If you are unable to summon Ranzal, then it's okay, because there's plenty of other win characters that can be used for the upcoming High Mercury trials. I would personally recommend summoning for him because, first of all, he's an all-around great unit, and second, the rates from this Gala banner are really good. If you don't get Ranzal, chances are you'll probably get something else that's good, but RNG is RNG, so you may never know. As for equipment, let's start with the dragons. Zephyr and Rock are going to be the best dragons for him in terms of damage. Long could also work, but Ranzal doesn't really benefit too much from the crit damage effect unless you give him Wyrmprints that increase his crit rate. A max unbounded high midgard is great as well to give Ranzal a mix of damage and HP. As for Wyrmprints, there's a lot of options because of the new double Wyrmprint system, so I'm just going to give you guys some general examples of prints that he can use, and this is based on my personal preference. I would probably just give him Heralds of Hinamoto and Fresh Perspective to give him that nice 35% skill damage, some skill haste, and 4 strike 30% because Ranzal is going to be using 4 strikes frequently. But other Wyrmprints that he can use include Resounding Rendition, that's a universally good print. Maybe pair that up with Stellar Show or its budget print, the Warriresses, and the Long Dragon for crit rate and crit damage. Valen Crown could also work since he can utilize the strength double buff effect by using his skill 2. Although his skill 2 does cost quite a lot, so he can't use strength double buff all the time. However, if you can use him alongside other defense buffers like Aileen or Lowen, then strength double buff has more value. If you are unable to find a Wyrmprint to fill in the second slot, Shapeshift Prep Wyrmprints in the second slot on all the characters on your team is a decent choice when playing solo on certain events such as raids. And that's all the Wyrmprint recommendations that I have to share. If you guys have any Wyrmprint combo ideas, then feel free to share them in the comments down below. Also, let me know how your Gala summons went. Mine was okay, but it wasn't exactly as great as I would have hoped. So I spent 18,000 Wyrmite, 3 tenfold tickets, and 8 singles, and I got a few 5-star Wyrmprint, Garuda, Cupid, Annabelle, a dupe Maribel, and I think that's it. I was hoping for Ranzal or Cerise, but unfortunately I did not get either of those two, so I got to save and hope I get them next time. Alright, so yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck on your summons. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.